This is the Nightwolf howling at you, and today we're going to take a look at the Masters of the Universe Origins Vypor, the sinister embodiment of Vypor Tower. Kind of an interesting idea considering that, there's only like, what, 7,000 people who got the Eternian playset, and here's a figure that relates specifically to one of the towers. Of course, we are back to the Snake Man card back. And on the back of the box, we see Vypor fighting against Eldor, who seems to be chained down somewhere, with Lady Slither in the background, and three what look like they are supposed to be reptile men of some sort. A horned chameleon, or no, like a horned iguana maybe. Is there such an animal as a horned iguana? I know there's a horned lizard. It looks like they're moving away from snake men to now reptile men, which there's a whole nother line of beings on Eternia that are actually related to lizards. Let's go ahead and open this sucker up, and the card is not sealed particularly well, so I might actually just see if I can just pop it off, more or less. Apparently not. Oh well. Like, a good chunk of it came off pretty easy. Now, I would like to point out that they gave us a character that they are calling the Sinister Embodiment of Vypor Tower, rather than give us a comic that focuses on that aspect. We just get the Leviathan's War once again. This is a missed opportunity, because when you create something like this, you should have your own story for it. So this is a little bit disappointing with the comic this time. And when you think about it, if this is supposed to be like the embodiment of Vypor Tower, that's kind of like just the same thing that King, or not King, but Grayskull Man would be for Castle Grayskull. And then again, if they do make Grayskull Man in this line, I wonder if they will go ahead and make him actually the embodiment of Grayskull Tower instead. But either way, if you're going to call a character the embodiment of the tower, I think that deserves its own comic to explain that whole situation, you know what I mean? But anyway, we have Leviathan's War again, where we are brought back to Lady Slither upon her armada, calling Lord Grasp to ask for his help in opening a portal so she could bring her fleet to Eternia and thus help take over the planet. Well, not help, I guess she just wants to take over the planet. He agrees to help her, but there is a price that must be paid. And as with King Hiss, for whatever reason, Lord Grasp wants to marry her. This is like the most 80s kind of story outline, right? Using a marriage to blackmail somebody else, you know what I mean? She agrees. Lord Grasp uses a special medallion in order to open up this portal, kind of using, I think it's supposed to be on top of Snake Mountain, isn't it? And we have Vypor here. And this is where it starts, again, if he's supposed to be the sinister embodiment of Vypor Tower, then why is he a henchman to Lord Grasp? He should have his own story. Alas, Lord Grasp is hit with a deadly bolt, which should kill him. And it's actually shot by Replix. However, Replix is not the only one who has snuck into that area to stop Lord Grasp. We have Skeletor, who steals a medallion and uses it to close the portal, cutting off the head of, literally, Lady Slither's ship before the fleet can get passed through the portal. So this is where we get to kind of a bad design moment with this. Apparently, when they were writing this comic, this page and this page, which I'll probably have both up at the same time right now, should be across from each other. It should be the centerfold spread, but it's not. So it really kind of loses that oomph it should have had. And I wonder if this comic was originally supposed to have a couple more pages. And I think if it had, I think it would have made a lot more sense than what it does when you get right down to it. But I don't know if I can't remember who the artist is. But it would be interesting to know, to find out. Fool, do you realize what you have done? Pest control. Ha ha ha. And Skeletor. We see some battle raging on here. Skeletor makes his way to the collector and disappears. But we see King Hiss, who apparently is alive after being killed by Lady Slither in her own personal comic book. And a lot of people have noted that Mattel seems to be really focusing on the Snake Men, which makes kind of sense because they are going to be like the easy ones to repaint and create new characters. That being said, as part of this quote wave, even though they've all been coming out like one at a time, Lord Grasp, the venomous viper with a crushing claw. Terror, the shapeshifter with a sinister shriek. Replix, mercenary brute of the Snake Men. Vypor, sinister embodiment of Vypor Tower. So I'm having kind of a brain fart moment. Has Vypor always been on the back of this? Because, like, I don't remember ever reading that before the figure came out. I'll have to go back and double check some of the other comics, because, I mean, it's possible they put a new back page on this. Who would have been the fourth Snake Man on there then if it wasn't Vypor? We, of course, get his little informational sheet that shows moving parts or removable parts. So let's take a look at the figure itself. He definitely has a more unique head sculpt than anybody else and a new armor piece here. His armor also has chains going around it, much like the Vypor Tower, which, since I haven't opened up my Eternia playset, I don't really have a quick reference photo. Looks like he's using a lot of, obviously, a lot of used parts. The new ones being the head, the armor, and the loincloth, or belted loincloth, because he's got a lot of Whiplash's parts, Skeletor's parts. And I know I've seen these before, and I can't remember what figure these arm bracers came with. Anyway, articulation-wise, this should be kind of unique because he's got an articulated jaw. He's got a head that swivels. The way it feels, I do not think that there's a ball joint in the head part. The neck is a separate piece, which does seem to have a ball joint. Oh, there's a rubber band going around all of the... Didn't see that earlier. Now the chains move a little bit more freely. We can spin the head in a full 360. Oh, okay. This might be the first Snake Man where he could actually slither on the ground. It's actually kind of nice, having the split head there. Aside from having all the extra teeth, he may be one of the few that actually look like an actual snake. The arms can swing up. However, having them close to the body, the harness does interfere with it. So you have to actually slide it out to get it all the way up if you want. Which, of course, we do have the hinge up and down. Standard single jointed elbow from MOTU Origins. The slightly less than 90 degrees. We have a spin at the wrist and the in and out hinge. He does come with 2 grasping hands. We have a waist swivel, so he can spin himself all around. Legs can kick up yay far. Whoa. Back yay far. And out yay far. Pretty much standard, or again, with Origins. The loincloth thing does not get in the way, or the skirted piece, I guess. We have a knee joint. A little less than 90 again, like the elbow. And it can spin a little bit. And of course, we have the boot cut, which spins a full 360. And we have a hinge at the ankle and a spin. I guess we could consider the boots here to be leg armor and not spats. But anyway. He comes with the same weapon that Stephanie McMahon came from with the Masters of the WWE Universe, which is kind of sad because it's a very boring weapon. At the very least, I think they should have painted it gold or cast it in gold and then painted the ball at the end a different color. And I think in some of the preliminary artwork, they had it with a long staff that actually had a skull on the top instead of a little hooked hand here. And that, I believe, is something that you can order from somebody else. But, so, loincloth comes off, and the armor, that came off a lot easier than I thought. In this case, definitely have to pull the head off. And the armor, the chains on it all slip through, so this is something you might actually lose fairly easily. It is just a soft hook here to help hold it in place. Sadly, it kind of looked like they could have had a battle armor design going on there. So I would just be a little cautious of the chain if you get this figure. Other than that, he's standard MOTU body. And see, the chain just, popped off on me. And so did the other one. So yeah, there is nothing on here that actually holds the chain in place, like you might expect. Other than sheer luck. One extra thing about these hooks real quick on the armor, I think if they had reversed them the other way, it would have helped held on the chains a bit better when you start maneuvering it or taking it apart. But that's just a thought I had while playing with this figure. So, oh, crap on a cracker. So overall, my thoughts on this figure is that he's a unique sculpt for sure. Well, okay. He's got a really unique head sculpt and armor sculpt. And I think it's actually pretty cool. I think the design is really good. Definitely unique. Not angry about it. I know there's a lot of people who are starting to get a little upset that they're focusing so much on the Snake Men recently. But again, overall, the Snake Men are mostly just repaintable characters. So that's why we're getting so many of them. This will also be a really great companion piece if you manage to get the Eternian playset. One day I hope to be able to open up mine and actually review it and set it up. But that still seems to be a bit in the future, unfortunately. I believe he is still available, though, from Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth, and maybe even Amazon at this point. So I hope you enjoyed this review of the Origins Vypor. And, being that they actually named it Origins Vypor with Vypor as the spelling, usually that sort of thing is done because of copyright and trademark. That's why you got a lot of Transformers for a while there that had like Autobot Hot Rod or Autobot Ratchet, because somebody else had used that name after when they let the trademarks lapse. So somewhere out there, Vypor is actually a trademarked name somewhere for something. And I hope you enjoyed this review. Let me know what you think. Is this one of those figures that you wanted to get? Or are you just sick and tired of the Snake Men in general? And even if you are tired of the Snake Men, I still think this is a good figure to get, since it is a very much unique. Like, I can see you skipping out on like Lord Grasp or Terror, because those are literally just 100% old body parts just repainted. But Replix and Vipron both did have new parts, so that is kind of a worthwhile thing, I think. Thanks for watching. Peace and love.